Hi everyone, welcome to our 39th episode of SAMA. SAMA is a webinar series where we invite an expert where they talk about their area of expertise. This week we're lucky to have Dr. Sue Massie with us. She's going to talk about Lyme disease, the causes, symptoms, diagnosis, treatment and pathology. Dr. Sue Massie is a certified natural health professional and has numerous healthcare certifications. Sue's passion is to not treat her patients, but instead she identifies the root cause of someone's symptoms and then teaches this patient how to detox, cleanse, nourish and rebuild their health. She says, "My mission in life is to empower, inspire and assist others to live vibrant, healthy lives." Sue is well versed in holistic, drug-free health programs with lasting results, and she specializes in degenerative neurological diseases with Lyme disease, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue being at the top of her list. During this webinar, Sue is going to share personal experience and the latest information on Lyme disease. Not only the infection and co-infections, but what is happening in all the organs of the body. So welcome, Sue, to our webinar. I'm so excited to have you with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, John. I'm very honored to be here.
So tell me, Sue, what is your personal story with Lyme? I'm interested to know why you decided to focus on Lyme.
Yes. Well, obviously, when you have a personal story or testimony or a test that you've gone through in your life that is very personal to you, yourself, your family, your children, your husband, or whoever, it becomes very near and dear to your heart, especially when it's something that is so challenging that literally can take your life. Yes. And I was back in the throes of this back in 1995, 96, and it started with my husband first, where he had severe tachycardia. He would have his heart racing 240 beats per minute.
Oh my goodness.
And that would go on for 6 to 8 hours. And we'd rush to the emergency room, me with a brand new infant in my arms and 5 other children, and my husband, in an ambulance, rushing to the various emergency rooms around me. And they would all say, "This is impossible." And of course I'd be screaming, "Don't tell me it's impossible. He's sitting right before you."
Yes.
So this would go on, and there was nothing they could do for him. They had no clue what was the matter with him. And finally it came to where, he would get this radiating jaw pain, the racing heart. And then finally we'd bring him home, we put him to bed, he would go to sleep. And when he woke up after a couple of hours, his heart would calm down. And then he'd have a massive migraine headache, and he'd be completely wiped out for about 2 days. And this is a very highly energetic person, very extremely fit.
Yes.
So it was very devastating. And then not too long, maybe 6, 8 months, after that, I had a multitude of symptoms, but I figured, it's getting older. I was 45 at the time, and just thinking getting older, that this is what happens, that I had, neck pain, shoulder pain. I had a multitude of symptoms, and it was never bullseye rash and, bad knees. I never had any of that. Mine was a lot more subtle, where it was years ago in my teens and my 20s, I always had strep throat. And nobody ever put the pieces together until much later. Obviously, I myself did in the 90s. But I was told by a neighbor who told me about my husband and Lyme. I called her doctor, because we saw a multitude of cardiologists, neurologists, all kinds of medical doctors. And finally went to see her doctor, and he diagnosed my husband with Lyme. And then about, 8, 9 months into it, he said to me, "You have it." And I said, "No, I don't. I don't have this stupid disease." And, be very argumentative and angry and whatever. And then one day I was local, just 3 blocks from my house at a supermarket. And I came out and I had total brain fog. I had no idea where I was. Did I drive? Do I drive? Do I have a car? I had no idea.
Gosh.
And a neighbor came out, and I'm always a jokester, so she thought I was kidding around. But I said, I know your face, but I don't know your name. She was my best friend, lived on my street. And she said, "I'm going to drive you home. Something's wrong." And then I thought, oh my gosh, I have a brain tumor. I'm going to die. I have brain cancer or whatever. And it turned out when I took my husband the next time to see the Lyme doctor, the medical doctor, he said, I'm telling you again, you have Lyme. So he pulled out the symptom list. I said, all right, test me. So I got my blood work done. I was not what they call CDC positive, and I'll explain that later, but
Okay.
I only had one of the bands positive, which is band 41 on a Western blot blood test. And he said, Sue, that's the tail or the flagellum of the spirochete. And I said, oh, why is that in my blood? And he said, well, I'll tell you what, it's like being sort of pregnant. And I said, bingo, you got me. I said, I guess I have Lyme. So started treatment. I was put on 3 antibiotics. So was my husband, obviously, but now I joined the ranks and was put on 3 antibiotics, pain medication, sleep medication. I never slept. I was hyper. My brain was on fire all the time. It was like being plugged in to an electric blanket, and you were just vibrating all the time. Could not calm down at night, could not let my brain turn off to go to sleep. So I would fall asleep like 2, 3 in the morning, sleep like 2 hours, and then I was wide awake again. I never slept. So I took tons of Ambien, which I never even took a Tylenol. So it was so foreign to us what we were doing. Mm-hmm. And then I had 6 children, and all of them had Lyme disease. All got tested and so forth. So we were in the, depths of this, what I thought at the time, prescription antibiotics, pain meds, sleep meds, et cetera, even antidepressants, and my husband was put on those first. And then when I was put on them, they made me absolutely crazy. I just felt out of my mind. So through after all this, because like I said, I never even took a Tylenol, May of 1999, I ended up just falling limp, paralyzed to the ground, and just went totally paralyzed from my neck down. And ended up where they told me I had something called ALS, Lou Gehrig's, which I never heard of in my life. I couldn't speak. I couldn't swallow. I had this total paralysis going on. But now, looking back, in my opinion, I believe it's all toxicity. It's absolutely the poisons. It's the infection itself, the bacteria, the spirochete, and so forth, but also the co-infections, candida, yeast, mold, heavy metals, whatever. There's just a whole pie of muck is the best way to describe it.
Yes.
But I quit all doctors, all medications, and I said, that's it. And that's when I changed my tune to be all holistic. And, I started attending school and so forth, and just learning everything I could. I mean, that started in 95. I just started learning everything I could, taking classes and courses and seminars. And I just soaked everything up because my family was dying and nobody knew about Lyme disease. It was not a popular thing. And sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just wondering, like, you all of your children have got Lyme. Your husband started it all. He's the first one to succumb to the symptoms, and yourself.
Yeah.
Now,
yes.
How do you think you all got Lyme? What do you think the vector was?
Well, again, at the time, I thought it was from just previous years, before 95. I went with my children, one of my kids, when they were in 6th grade, I went up as a parent chaperone. They take the kids up to the woods up in North Jersey. It's called Stoke State Forest, all the 6th graders, and they camp in the woods for 4 days. And then everybody's covered in ticks everywhere, So I went, and when I came back, I couldn't get out of bed for like 4 months. I was just so fatigued, so wiped out. And I was like, what is wrong with me? And people said, oh, well, after all, you're a mom of all those kids, and I figured that's what it was. But like I say, John, I go way back to when I was like in 6th grade, which is you're like 10, 11 years old or so. And I remember seeing the black floaters way back then. When you look up at the sky and you squint your eyes and you see those little black squiggly lines. I remember that very clearly. And then, like I said, I had a multitude of symptoms all through junior high, high school. It was really bad.
So you were seeing it in your eye, in your eye water or your eyeball, you think?
In the eyeball. They're called floaters. Little black floaters. Yeah, you don't see them looking at your eyes, but if you look up at the sky and you squint your eyes, you can see those little black floaters. I had those when I was a child, but we camped all the time. I've been to Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket and Cape Cod, and we camped up in Maine, and I was in the woods. I grew up in the woods.
Yeah.
Always playing in the woods. So, high exposure.
Gosh.
And then my father was the first case supposedly of Lyme disease way back in 1981, where I live here in Monmouth County, New Jersey.
Yes.
And I was called to the emergency room at midnight saying, your father's going to die, so you need to say goodbye to him. They had no clue what was the matter with him. And then finally at about 2:30 in the morning, they said they gave him something called tetracycline, and he got better. And then he recovered, but he didn't fully recover at all. But that was one of the first cases of Lyme. So I had a hint of what Lyme was, but not the full extent until we got critically ill. And that was really bad.
Wow. So if Lyme is oh, I seem to have lost my, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Oh, okay. It's animals infected with Lyme then, if it's in the forest?
Yes. It's carried by mice, it's carried by birds, it's carried by, they say now not only is the Borrelia in the Lyme ticks themselves, the little, spirochetes, the Lyme in the ticks, but now it's also in fleas and flies and mosquitoes. And I mean, there's so much. And I know, and I've read this, and I know this is true. And this was, 15, 20 years ago, but now it's better documented today. You can just Google this and find it out, is that it's gestational. So if the mother has Lyme, my mother has Lyme, my father, I think my grandparents definitely did too. My grandmother was diagnosed with Parkinson's, which to me is just another name for Lyme disease, in my humble opinion. This is all my opinion, what I've experienced. So, but so I'm gestational, and I had Lyme growing up, so it's in my blood. And when I got pregnant with my children, I even had a miscarriage over it. And I know that was the Lyme also, because that's when I went to the woods and got bit again, because I know I did. I was so fatigued and felt so lousy. And then I found out I was pregnant and I lost the baby. So I've had a miscarriage over this too.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's quite an evil disease, isn't it?
Awful. That's the exact way to describe it. It's an evil disease. It's funny because I was just watching a YouTube earlier today of a medical doctor and his ordeal with Lyme, and he was doing a conference and speaking to people, and he said that's exactly it. He said, I knew something was really wrong in the early 90s when I was having these horrific nightmares. He said, I'm not talking just your nightmare that everybody has once in a blue moon type thing, but very evil nightmares. And I've had those. I know exactly what those are.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's a symptom also.
Okay, so what other symptoms do people have? If they think they may have Lyme, they're not feeling well, can you give some pointers now so people listening in can get a better idea?
What people don't realize is that it's systemic. It's throughout the whole body. So it's not just something, like I say, like a bullseye rash and then your knees hurt. Okay, it doesn't just have to be neurological. It's a multitude of problems. So it can start anywhere from headaches to fatigue, to hormonal issues is a huge issue, which people don't realize. This is a spirochetal infection. It's just like syphilis. So you're talking about, it's upsetting the hypothalamus, the pituitary up in the brain, the cognitive all across the forehead and so forth. And these are spirochetes, so they wreak havoc in your hormones. So they're going to upset your HPA, your hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal axis, and just wreak havoc with your hormones. So I see a lot of women with irregular periods. I myself used to get mine twice a year, and they told me that was normal.
Doesn't sound normal to me.
Not normal at all. Severe heavy periods, just ridiculousness. And today it's definitely a lack of being able to get pregnant has a lot to do with it as well. High estrogen, very low progesterone. Progesterone is what holds on to the baby and so forth. But just a huge hormonal issue. So it's a lot of thyroid, adrenal, I see mostly. Burned out adrenals. Everybody is so stressed out today. But then you think of it, if you have a body that's under attack constantly by a bacterial infection, and it's not just Lyme, there's all kinds of co-infections, which we can touch on also. But you've got this heavy burden of this stealth bacterial, viral, load on you. It's going to wear the immune system down, the body down. So your adrenals are exhausted. So now you got cortisol issues, where that's why I'm saying you're high in your cortisol at night, which should be low, but you're revved up and you're buzzing. And then in the morning you have no energy. You can't even get out of bed. And that's low cortisol. So you're backwards in your circadian rhythm of what's the body's supposed to be doing.
Right. Gosh, if mosquitoes have Lyme, and mosquitoes are just like everywhere.
Yep.
And
Yep.
they're fast moving, they're impossible to catch.
Yes. You know what the secret is to not get bit by a mosquito? I have not been bit in years. You know what the secret is?
No.
Have very good B complex. Be
Oh.
full of B complex. And I don't mean just a nutraceutical, pharmaceutical grade B complex. I'm talking about, I use organic, whole food B complex. I don't get bit at all. And in New Jersey, we got horrendous mosquitoes. And I sit in my backyard, I don't get bit. Everybody else gets eaten alive. B complex is the secret.
Gosh, I never would have thought of that. And does it make you smell? Does it make it so you're not so the mosquitoes don't like the?
I don't know if they just don't like B complex. No, I'm only kidding. I don't know if it's the scent that you give off or the health of your blood, or I don't know what the actual mechanism is, but I read that probably about 5 years ago, and it works. I will guarantee it. You know,
Wow.
don't use all those chemicals on your skin and around. You're breathing it. It's going into your skin. We got enough problems, you know, with Roundup, you know, glyphosate. So, you know, you don't want to put all those chemicals on you. Use oils, essential oils instead, like citronella and lemon balm and, you know, lemongrass. All those ones are great for, you know, mosquitoes as well.
Right, right. So if you've got Lyme,
Yes.
And you've got the symptoms that you describe, are there people that specialize in Lyme?
Yes.
Okay. And is Lyme officially recognized by the allopathic doctors?
It is, but it's not popular at all. So in other words, you have to find what we call here in the States an LLMD, which is a Lyme literate medical doctor.
Right.
But you've got to be careful there also of, you know, who you go see, because some claim to be LLMDs and they really don't know Lyme disease at all. And a lot of times they their first line of defense is antibiotics. Okay. And I don't tell people to do antibiotics or prescription drugs or not to do them. I give them the 4 options. The options are see a medical, an LLMD, a medical Lyme doctor, get tested however they do it, whatever tests they are. And I explain tests pretty thoroughly so people know what they're looking at. Go to a holistic doctor, whether it's a naturopath or a DO or whatever, and hopefully somebody with some experience in Lyme, you know, and do it holistically. You can do both. You can be on antibiotics while you're doing holistic, or do nothing at all. That means, in other words, we've had a nice chat for an hour and see you later, have a nice life, you know. But, you know, if I know they have Lyme, especially, you know, most of my patients come to me, they've already been diagnosed. I don't diagnose them. I'm not a medical doctor. I make that very clear when I see somebody. The first thing I tell them is I am not a medical doctor. I'm not here to diagnose or treat you. I'm here to teach you. That's when I'm here to share information so you can be informed, because when you get wisdom and knowledge, now you have power. That's what it's about. Everybody getting their own. It's your body. It's your life. It's up to you to make decisions of what you want to happen, and not to go to the white coat, the doctor, and have the fear of God put in you, which is what happens a lot.
Okay.
So that's, yeah. And I've been there. I know what that is.
Right.
I did that with breast cancer in 2005. I was told I had intraductal carcinoma, and my mother had it 3 times, and it took the life, you know, the breath out of me for a second. And then I said, no, I'm not going to be afraid. I'm going to learn about this and see what this is about and how to get rid of it. And I just saw recently, Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt has stated that in 200 patients, women patients with Lyme disease and breast cancer. And I've said it because back in the 90s when my mother was diagnosed, I said there's a direct link between Lyme and breast cancer. I know there is.
Okay. And so you knocked it on the head, or you controlled, you've still got Lyme?
Well, I still have Lyme.
Yes.
I'm not cured, and I don't tell people. I don't believe, you know, and again, I have people tell me they're cured, but then I know, you know, they tell me their symptoms. So I say, well, it's not cured. If anything, and that's the other thing, John, that I think is real important that I try to stress is that you're not here to beat the heebie-jeebies out of this Lyme. You're not here to pound it with atomic bombs of antibiotics and whatever toxic material you can throw at yourself. You're not going to get rid of it, but you have to learn to live with it. And if we learn to live with it, then we live in peace and harmony, and it's all good. And how you live with it is you build your immune system. Okay. I feel fantastic at 60. I'm telling you, I have more energy. It's now going on 9 o'clock at night here and, on a Thursday night. And I had a long week and a long day today, especially. I started at 6 this morning with patients because I work with people all over the world. But it's been a long day, but I still have great energy. I don't drink coffee. I do drink water, as we talked earlier, with my straw, but it's good because you build your immune system, you get strong. Now you can deal with anything because your immune system, your body is stronger than what's coming at you. And that's the way I look at it.
Okay, so you keep it at bay if you like.
Yes.
Why
Absolutely.
Why do you think it's so hard to get rid of it?
Because of the way it's been explained to me and everything I have read, it's called pleomorphic. So this little spirochete, this little bacteria goes from what we call a corkscrew shape, a pig's tail, like a little corkscrew, into what's called an L form, and then it goes into a round cystic form. And when the antibiotic or whatever, agent that's trying to kill it, it's going to survive no matter what. So it goes into a little cystic form and it creates a little biofilm around it, and which is like a hard, crusty shell. And now here comes the antibiotic, and it doesn't see anything because the little wolf is in here hiding under the wolf under the sheep's clothing. That's why antibiotics don't work. They might work temporarily, they might work for a while, but when the doctor or whoever says, I'm not giving any more, then what are you going to do? You're right back to square one because these things just reproduce again, which is another thing. They reproduce very slowly. About once a month, they come out into the blood. Other than that, they travel through connective tissue. So if you're looking for them in the blood all the time, you're wasting your time.
Okay.
That's why testing.
Yeah. They, you said before that you could see the spirochetes in your eye. It was just yesterday I announced that we've got a little microscope that you hold up to your eye and you can see the things that are inside your eye and also on the liquid on the outside of your eye.
Yeah, probably eye doctors can, I guess. I mean, or with a super power microscope.
No, you don't. Well, our one's all $5. You just hold it to your eye and you can see the floaters in your eye. I didn't see any myself, but what would they look like if you squint?
It really takes like extremely powerful microscope in order to see the spirochetes.
Okay.
And they have pictures on the internet. I mean, you can just Google what it looks like and you'll see pictures of them. And they'll show you that they're in cystic form, they're in an L form, they're in the spirochetal form, the corkscrew shape, whatever. But they're pleomorphic, which means they change and they're going to continuously change because they're going to survive no matter what. Okay. So that's why I say it's kind of crazy to just poison your own body to try to get rid of them. Because even if you leave a couple, they're going to reproduce again and you're going to be back up in the millions and billions again.
Yes.
So instead, live peacefully with it.
Gosh. But to get inside your eye, antibiotics doesn't go inside your eye, does it? So.
No, but it's systemic. It goes in your whole body, in your whole system.
Yes.
They love the back of the eye, the retina, because it's a low area of oxygen. So that's why that can be an area. They love the sinuses. They love the head, especially, like I say. It's low areas of oxygen, the knees are also obviously a big area usually for people. And it's even as bad, and nobody talks about this, I'm sorry, it's a little much, but in men's testicles is a very good area also, because a lot of men just don't know where to go when they have pain and can't figure out what the pain is, so maybe you better sort of think maybe it's Lyme, In my presentation, that's usually what I do is when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, look to see what the root cause is.
Right.
When you get a diagnosis, that's just a diagnosis, but they're not giving you a root cause of what's causing it. Yes. So it's something to look at. And way back in 2003, Dr. Stephen Levine of Allergy Research Group called me and wrote an article about me, which I was absolutely honored, in his Focus magazine, and it's called One Woman's Journey. And in that same article, Dr. Joanne Whitaker, who is now deceased, she wrote all about how Lyme mimics other diseases like MS, multiple sclerosis, and ALS, and Parkinson's, and lupus, and autism. And you start looking at these other degenerative neurological diseases and say, yeah, what is the root cause? Why is that myelin sheath disappearing around my nerves and so forth?
Yeah.
And they say, well, it's autoimmune. The body's just attacking itself.
Yes.
I don't believe that for a minute.
Right.
It's pathogens.
Mm.
Look to pathogens.
Mm.
So if you're working on antimicrobials, antibacteria,
Mm.
antivirals,
Mm.
right, and anti-protozoas or parasites, now you're getting somewhere. You're getting to root causes of what's inside of us. And it just makes a healthier human being. And then also, like I say, nourish, build your liver, build your kidneys. You know, you can take supplements. There are supplements that actually rebuild the body. You know, nourish and feed it. You nourish and feed the body heals itself.
Mm.
Just like a plant. You have a plant and you take away the sun, you take away the soil, you stick it in a dark closet and don't feed it, don't love it, and so forth, it's going to die. We're the exact same way.
Right. Right.
You know, we need love, we need nourishment, we need sun, we need, you know, good soil and to drink water, you know, and feed and nourish our bodies and cut back on all the junk food.
You mentioned before about the brain fog. Do these spirit jets go into your brain? Do they cross the brain barrier?
Yes. Yes, they cross the blood-brain barrier. Yes, absolutely.
That's quite scary.
It is scary, but again, once you're freaked out, decide to get rid of it and then get on the positive track and say, okay, but what am I going to do about it? Do you know what I'm saying? I was devastated when I learned back in the mid 90s of all this and what's it do, you know, and then I gave it to my children. Oh my gosh, you know, get over it. You know what I'm saying? Move forward. Teach your children how to be healthy, how to eat healthy and take care of themselves and love themselves. And, you know, that's a huge piece of the puzzle.
You
know.
Wow. So you control your Lyme. What do you do to control the symptoms?
I use specific products and I rotate things. So I don't take the same thing all the time, but I can just give you general. I won't give you brands and so forth, but things like, you know, I use a hydroxyl silver, you know, colloidal silver type thing. Oregano is fabulous. Okay. Berberine is another great product. You know, these are just, like I say, general without being specific. I also use artemisinin. Okay. And even it's a cryptolepsis. These are things for a co-infection because with Lyme, you don't only have Borrelia burgdorferi, you also have the co-infections. That means in addition, when the little tick sticks its head into your skin and regurgitates its guts into you, that's where all this junk comes from.
Yeah.
Okay, Babesia is a co-infection, kills your red blood cells. If you have less red blood cells, then you're not carrying oxygen throughout the whole body. So the brain becomes low in oxygen, okay? So the memory goes. Then you also have shortness of breath. Your chest feels tight. You can get pain where your heart is. You can get a little ticker in your heart, a little tachycardia. You can have severe fatigue. That's Babesia. And you also can have nightmares, really bad dreams, nightmares. Your feet hurt. Could have been that you had these symptoms like foot pain and arches in your feet and the balls of your feet and everything hurting really bad. And now you don't have it anymore. It doesn't mean the Babesia went away. Okay. It's just something that you used to have. A lot of people usually don't remember. Shortness of breath is a big one. Sighing a lot. You know, yawning a lot. That's all part of Babesia. Okay. The problem is then you end up with things like neuropathy where your hands and your feet fall asleep. That's another thing. Okay. So this is all part of it. And it can be, and I believe Babesia personally, again, is directly linked to breast cancer. That's just my personal opinion. They use artemisinin herb for prevention of breast cancer. They use it for malaria and they use it for Babesia. It's all one and the same, you know? So they say Babesia is just like malaria. So it could be fever also. Sweats are a big part too. It doesn't have to be night sweats. I have women 30 years old tell me they're going through the change of life. Not true. I have women 60, just yesterday, a 66-year-old woman, already went through menopause and all that years ago, still has all these night sweats. I said, because it's your hypothalamus, it's your brain that's going, you know, it's the control center for your hot and cold and so forth, and it's broken. Why? She has an infection.
Gosh.
You know, so yeah, these are things to look at, you know, to see how to get better. So before you play around with all the hormones and everything else.
But it's not to say that all breast cancers are caused by Babesia, does it? It means that's one of them.
I personally believe that's a big part of it. Estrogen dominance obviously is another huge issue. You know, all
Yes.
these estrogen fed cancers. Okay. But
Mm.
why is it that estrogen is always way up here and progesterone is way low? This is almost an all women, you know? And again, I don't believe everybody, you know, every single human being has Lyme per se, but I
Sure.
think it's a lot bigger than what we think it is. I know it is
Yes.
because I see it all the time, but I don't go around telling everybody they have Lyme, you know, but they'll find out sooner or later, you know.
Where do you think Lyme is a natural disease, if there's such a term?
No, it's
What?
been around a long time. It's biochemical, I feel. I just do. You know, and there's books out on it and so forth again, and that gets in that whole side of the issue. I just stay on the side, John, to help people. That's my heart. That's what I want to do. I've been very blessed to have had this testimony or this test in my life, not
Yes.
only with this Lyme and ALS and breast cancer. I
Yes.
know that I went through this to help others. And it's just a blessing when people are going to 10, 15, 20 doctors and nobody's telling them what's wrong with them. And I've been there. I know exactly what that feels like. And if you're a woman, they just think you're crazy. You know, you're looking for attention. And if you're a guy, they just think you're lazy. You know what I mean? And that's not what it is. And nobody believes you. And that even adds more insult to the injury of having Lyme, because then you start to think, am I crazy? You know? And this does lead to suicide. There's no doubt about that also. Okay. I have personal experience with that as well. So I know it's that losing hope, feeling like you're crazy. People think you're crazy. You have these mood swings that you don't know what is going on with you. It could be that manic depressive, you know, and this explains a lot for a lot of people, you know, so not only is it nutritional deficiencies, but there's also infection involved. So you add the two together and now you can see what a mess a lot of people are.
Yes. Is there anything that people can do to just, you know, if they think they may have Lyme, is there anything they can try to sort of confirm if they have?
Absolutely.
If they haven't got.
There's many tests out there. Again, I don't want to name specific labs and tests and so forth.
Okay.
I don't want anybody to get upset with me, but there are medical lab tests out there. You can go through your basic carriers through a medical doctor and start there. But I would those are usually free because most people have insurance that covers it here in the United States, at least. I don't know what it's like in China or the rest of the world, you know, but at least you can start there and you tell your doctor, you know, or share with them, could you please do a Western blot? That's the blood test you're really looking for, more so than what's called a Lyme titer test, which is no good, or an ELISA test, ELISA. So you want a Western blot blood test to start. Then there's specific labs in the States here that test for Lyme disease. And all you have to do is just put down Lyme disease lab, you know, test lab or whatever, and Google it, you know, and you'll see the top ones and so forth. Like I say, I don't want to go into too much on that.
Right. Well, it's good that these people are, or some people are specializing and they can actually give a confirmed result. Now,
right. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, John, but if somebody tells you don't have Lyme, I encourage every person, get a copy of your test.
yes.
Okay? Because the tests are so inaccurate, they'll tell you you're negative, okay, when you really could be positive. And I shared earlier that I only had one band 41, and I was critically ill with Lyme.
Yes.
But most medical doctors, 95% of them will tell you you're negative. You need 5 positive bands. So I could have been told I was negative, and I'd be dead right now. There's no doubt in my mind I would have died from this back in the late 90s, early 2000s. No doubt in my mind.
And if
so
you
get your own test.
If you kept on their regime of antibiotics, antidepressants, and anti-everything else.
Anti-life.
Anti-life.
I did. I was scared. And that's all I knew at the time.
Gosh.
But so I gave it up. And I did alternative. I have a Rife machine, RIFE. I also have a PEMF, which is a pulsed electromagnetic field machine, which is a lot like a TENS unit on steroids. It's much more powerful. I was very honored to be able to write an article with Dr. Gary Gordon and myself in a published article all about the PEMF. Great
Mm.
article.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. So that
Okay.
was really awesome.
And what does that do? It's a strong magnetic field that does it do damage to the spirochetes?
No, it's a what's called a DC machine, direct current machine.
Oh,
And what
so
it
it's
does,
contact.
yeah, it's like a TENS unit. So it's electrostim, to the
Okay.
muscles type
Mm.
thing. It's a coil like a garden hose, and you can put it on your chest and on your belly. And there's
Mm.
tons of PubMed articles about PEMF. So you
Sure.
can just Google PEMF and Dr. Sue Massie, or PEMF and breast cancer.
Mm.
PMF and Parkinson's. I used it on my dad for Parkinson's. I have videotapes where my dad was doing this, and I do the PMF over his head like this, and he'd just be perfectly still. It took the shakes right away in Parkinson's. So I see a lot of Parkinson's patients and cancer and dementia and Alzheimer's and all that kind of stuff, and it just works wonderfully.
Okay, so it's the magnetic field. What does the field do? How does it stop the effects?
Basically what it does is you just got to think of it as that your body is like dead batteries, your cells. You've got a lot of dead cells in there, a lot of dead batteries. And what it does, it's like a big battery charger. So by putting the coil on and pulsing the magnetic pulse, it goes in to the center of the cell, hits the nucleus, and it's called a hummer. But it also has like a little bell that rings like a chime, and it's a ringer also. So it vibrates the cell and wakes up the mitochondria, which is the energy of the cell, where you make your ATP energy and so forth. And it's kind of like, I always think of like, a guy with two horses, with a carriage, and he, and hits the horse, and then they wake up and they're like, okay. Because I have patients that literally drag themselves in my office, collapse on my couch. And I had one kid that left and went snowboarding for the weekend. He hadn't been out of his house for 2 years. He was 21 years old. And his mother was just in tears because he actually got up and went snowboarding all weekend. He couldn't go out of the house for 2 years. So it's great for inflammation. It brings energy to the cells. It's literally like you're on low vibe, and it recharges your batteries so you get all charged up and you feel so much better. It's wonderful. So it's great for inflammation, which is pain. All pain is inflammation. That's what it is. So I always say you got to go into the layers. If you're having pain, what's causing the pain? Inflammation. You have high C-reactive protein, high homocysteine, high cholesterol. What's causing all that? Inflammation. What causes inflammation? Infection. What's the infection? Bacterial, viral, parasite. That's basically what we have. So you put out the fire or bring the fire down to a little roar, and now you're in much better shape.
Yes. So what does Lyme do to your organs then? You say it burrows through the tissue. So it must just be your body must be riddled with it in basically every organ.
Yep.
So what does it do to your organs?
Well, they know, for instance, that the pericardium around the heart, that it definitely affects the heart. Again, these are like PubMed articles. There's some great articles. One I wanted to mention is Dr. Virginia Scher. She wrote a fabulous article about the gut and the brain. And it's just a great article. Again, you can just Google it and you can find her article because it has a lot of information about Lyme and co-infections and how, and today's health here in the United States, at least, everything is about the gut biome, what's going on in the gut and so forth. So if your gut's a mess, your brain's going to be a mess. So if people walk around all depressed and can't figure out what's wrong with them and so forth, and you find out that they got dysbiosis, their gut is upset, they got gas, they got belching, they can't digest their food properly, they're not having 2 to 3 bowel movements a day, they're having constipation, which is maybe 1 bowel movement a day. That's constipation. So 2 to 3 bowel movements a day. You just got to have good bacteria in that gut. And what's happening is the small intestine, which is where you absorb all your nutrients, is just all messed up. With infection, with yeast. A lot of people in the States, again, have tremendously low hydrochloric acid, stomach acid.
Yes.
And with that low stomach acid, they're getting acid reflux because the food's going down to the gut, the stomach. There's not enough acid to chew the food up. So the food comes back up again. So things like that. This is all part of the big picture. But again, you bring that fire down, take care of the fire, and clean out the gallbladder. Even if you don't have a gallbladder, you still got bile. You got to clean out the bile, clean out, the colon, detox the kidneys, the liver. and it's more than just taking milk thistle. Some people just say, well, I'll just grab this cheap bottle of milk thistle and that'll take care of it. It doesn't.
Oh, okay. That's
No.
sad.
And food is a huge issue. Obviously, start with your food, change your food, make baby steps, start drinking water instead of diet soda. It makes a huge difference. I have patients, if they're drinking 8 glasses of diet soda, I say start with 7 and 1 glass of water. Could we please do that? And then I teach them about my straw that I told you. You put a straw in your water, you're going to drink a lot more water than if you go like this. You take little sips. With a straw, you drink a lot more water. So,
Gosh.
but beets are for liver, and raw carrots are for colon. So increase your apples, your beets, and your carrots, your ABCs. It helps tremendously. Eat them raw.
Right. Is there a danger in having too much beetroot juice?
I don't know about danger. You're going to see a lot of red pee and a lot of red poop. So don't freak out and think you have colon cancer after you have beets and you turn around the next day and go, because it's all red. I get that phone call. That's the beets.
Okay.
I don't think it's good to do too much of anything. I think life is always about balance. So you don't want too much of anything.
No. If it does turn too red, does it mean that you've got a leaky gut?
I don't know about that, but by eating too many beets that way, you have a leaky gut because of your stool.
Okay.
When you have loose stools and diarrhea and constipation, that's all part of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but again, there's a lot of really great holistic stuff to do for all of that.
Okay. Yeah. It's a shame there's no way of actually eliminating the Babesia and the Lyme from your body.
I wish there was, John. And I know people that have gone to Italy and done hyperthermia where they heat their body up to like 104 degrees. I mean, there's people that drink, years ago it was blue lizard blood.
Oh.
I'm like, if it really worked, I would do it. But I just don't know of something that's 1,000%. And you got to be careful of the people that are out there on the internet or whatever that are promising you cures. There was one going around, a 72-hour cure for Lyme, and it's just a bunch of hocus pocus. There's a lot of that out there. You've got to be careful. I say, and I can say this because it's just one person, there's there's books out by a wonderful herbalist, Stephen Buhner, Buhner, Stephen Buhner. And he has, his latest one is Healing Lyme. Great book, but again, I caution people when they pick up books like this and they put protocols in there, because it will say start with, however many drops of, Japanese knotweed or cat's claw or whatever. You got to start slowly. Every person who does any protocol always starts slowly. But people get a little, zealous and they're like, okay, let's go. I'm ready. I want to get rid of this Lyme and I'm going to take lots of this and it's going to get me all better. That is the worst thing you can do when you have Lyme disease. It's a slow and steady pace, not a race. So you've got to go slow and steady with this.
Can you explain why did it die off? Okay.
Die off. Herxheimer, or a Herx, Herx.
Yes.
And a Herx is when you're taking whatever antimicrobial, antibacterial, and now there's die off, okay? And the body has to absorb those toxins. They're nerve toxins, neurotoxins, and your body's got to do something with them. And there's this whole thing of how some people don't detoxify well due to their genetics. That's the whole MTHFR, which is a whole nother subject. But the point is that you want to be able to process what your body's trying to do. So if your body's trying to detox, you can't take, a big thing of whatever, antimicrobial, antibacterial types, thing like oregano. You can't take a big, like 10, capsules of oregano. You will be so critically ill, that's a silly thing to do.
It's a powerful oil.
You just start slow. You never put oregano in the mouth directly unless it's in a gel cap, where it comes in a gel cap. Literally I've seen people, they will take regular oregano essential oil and just, put it in their mouth. And they're like, it's going to burn the mouth.
It burns terrible.
It's awful. You do not do that. Okay. I'm just saying you wouldn't, if your friend says, hey, I took 6 of these capsules a day and it got rid of my H. pylori and it got rid of my stomach pain, don't go do that. Start slowly. Everything is slowly. Give the body 3, 4, 5 days to absorb what you're doing to make sure that you're not doing too much, number one. If you are doing too much, you're going to get a headache. You're going to get where your body all hurts, like you're coming down with the flu and you feel awful. Okay? That's a Herxheimer. And that's when you stop everything. You drink lots of water, and you should do things, binders, which are things that like kind of, bind the toxins together. Okay? Like activated charcoal and bentonite clay. And there's all kinds of products in that also. Okay? So again, I don't want to get too much into that. But you got to treat the body with love and respect, but also be smart about it, what you're doing. That's all. And a lot of times it's really a good idea to work with a practitioner, somebody that knows what they're doing. I'll be honest.
Yes.
Instead of being your own doctor. I get people that try to be their own doctor all the time, and they're really in bad shape when they come in and see me.
They've left it for too long, I guess.
Yeah. And everybody's different. That's the thing. You don't know how you're going to react. So part of it.
So if you going back with the Lyme and how you consider, most people may be infected, will there be a time when pretty much all the population of the globe are infected with Lyme?
Will there be, what was it? Would there be?
Do you think virtually everyone will become infected with Lyme? It
is all over the world. I have patients in Saudi Arabia, Germany, Japan, Australia. Yeah, it is all over the world.
Right.
They say the ticks in Iraq and all over there are horrendous. And down in the islands here, in the Caribbean, they're really bad. So, people think, oh, we don't have Lyme. Or the doctors say, we don't have Lyme, not New Jersey, but say Wisconsin. Wisconsin is one of the heaviest areas. Gosh. Minnesota, Michigan, California, Florida. They're like, oh, we don't have ticks down here. Yes, you do. Real bad. But people say, but I never saw a tick. Well, they're the size of a dot at the end of a sentence. You're not going to see them, especially if it's my hair up in here. I'm not going to see it. It'll do its feeding, drop off. I've never saw it. That's the problem. You have a dog, you have a cat, and they go outside. They're bringing those ticks in with them. They're lying in your bed or on your couch.
Yes.
So you're being exposed. Your kids are being exposed. So it's really bad.
Yes, Camila has said that Australia doesn't actually test for Lyme's. So it's quite possible that some countries are just in denial.
They're all, so is the United States still. So, but look at the numbers. I mean, I have a chart somewhere here. They say they report 30,000 cases a year, but it's more like 10 times that. That's 300,000 cases a year. And the chart I have, I think it's 1990s or whatever. Here it is. Reported cases of Lyme disease by year from 1995 to 2014. And it started out about 10,000 cases, and now it's up to about 35,000. But they're saying it's times 10, 350,000 cases a year. Do you know how many that is by now? 2018?
Are we talking about new cases of Lyme?
New cases, yep.
Wow.
Reported cases of Lyme, yep. I'll hold this up. This is just a paper that I had.
Yes.
Yep. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. And when my husband and I had it and our 6 children, it wasn't reported because we weren't CDC positive. So you got 8 people right there that never even made the charts, And all the patients that I work with, none of them were reported.
Well, that's shocking. It's shocking how we can have a global endemic and it's not being reported, it's not being resolved, it's not being actioned. Are there any serious studies being done now to find the Achilles heel?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's some great work going on. There's a lot of super advocate groups and support groups. And I mean, there's wonderful legislation, and there's some really good political people that are pro, finding out more information about Lyme and so forth. Yeah, there's excellent. But then again, you've got the pushback of the old, the allopathic, where there's no such thing. In my area all around here, there's no such thing as Lyme. Every other kid here has autism, ADHD and OCD and all kinds of, again, they call them, different labels, But the bottom line is what's causing this? This
Sure.
Fitz disease and mouth, hand, foot disease, and they call it everything else but what it really is.
Well,
And these poor kids are suffering. They're suffering with school and memory and behavioral problems. And I mean, it's through the roof.
right. Well, I would have thought that like the tide of numbers will be such that it's just, you cannot deny
You can't
it.
deny it. You can't deny it, John. But you know what? It's getting there. It's getting there. In the mid-90s, people thought I was crazy.
Right.
I banned my kids from going on field trips into the woods all around here. We're loaded with ticks here. And then, but my town thought I was crazy, but I don't care. They're not paying my bills, my medical bills for my kids, and they don't have sick children here screaming with their legs hurting, shin splints, that as they were little kids, and the doctors, oh, it's just growing pains. No, it's not. They have Bartonella. They were very, very sick children, and on EIP and 504 plans and special ed and all that stuff, they had terrible problems with tests and memory and physical body aches and pains and brain, their brain not only fog, but brain hurting and headaches. And I mean, it's just horrible as a mother to see your children suffer,
Okay, so just getting close to the end of the segment, we'll just go through the main symptoms of Lyme, so people can know. And
I wrote it down I wrote some down just so we don't miss this.
Okay.
Give me just a second here, because I thought just in case.
I find it a bit depressing to hear that it can't be cured, it can't be removed. What about early stages? If you have been into the bush and you've seen a tick on your body, you come, you rush back. Can you do something? I've heard.
They say yes if you do antibiotics, but let's look at it this way. I would say probably minimum 3 months of antibiotics. Again, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm talking as a mom, and also having it myself. But look at me, John. I had it since I was a little girl. I'm now 60.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do you know that? And 9.5 times out of 10, when I talk to somebody that's a newbie to Lyme, I ask them about previous. What happened to you in your 20s and your 30s and whatever? And they come up with this laundry list of this: shin splints, head, obviously, unexplained fevers, sweats, chills, fatigue, tiredness, unexplained hair loss. There's a big one. Unexplained hair loss, swollen glands. Now, I don't mean if you just all of a sudden have hair loss, now you have Lyme disease. I don't mean that in any way, okay? But put this together. I had swollen glands all the time growing up. Serious allergies, sinus infections all the time. Mood swings, anger, irritable bowel, irritable bladder. Like I said, constipation, diarrhea, joint muscle pain, shortness of breath, chest pain, feet, swelling toes, the balls of your feet, pain, burning feet, neck, creaks and cracks. That's, the creaks and the cracks, the stiffness in the neck, the upper shoulder, upset stomach. The little kid always, Mommy, my tummy hurts, my tummy hurts. You better pay attention what that is. Ears, buzzing, ringing, tinnitus, ringing in the ears.
Really?
Pain, like a sudden sharp pain in the ear, a sudden stabbing eye pain. That's Lyme. Difficulty with concentration. I mean, that's just a quick list. There's a lot more, but I give people a whole symptom list in my office, and I say, just take this and see what you think. I have a list with about 38 things on it. I had every single one back then except testicular pain. It's the only one I didn't have on the list. That's why I knew that's on there.
Gosh, this is quite a list. And, I mean, that's.
It is.
Gosh. Is it the co-infections that's doing much of those symptoms, or is it Lyme itself?
It's both. And there's breakdowns on Bartonella, Mycoplasma, Babesia. Like I said, I have Babesia also. I've had it severely, of the real bad shortness of breath, can't get enough oxygen, can't get enough breath and so forth. I've had it where I've been rushed to the hospital. I've passed out in the shower.
Gosh.
Heat and hot, like hot showers and hot tubs and that type of thing, even hot weather, and you get that hot rash and so forth, and you feel like everything's pulsing. That's Babesia. Yep, so that's part of it.
Well, I'm hoping that people that are watching this video now will decide, if they have the symptoms, to decide to take action. I guess if you don't, it will only get worse.
Yes.
Is your body's fighting a losing battle.
Yes,
I
it
guess.
is. And what happens is as you get older, you end up, and I saw this with my father who just passed away, you end up on a lot of my patients, high blood pressure medication.
Yes.
And a lot of high blood pressure has to do other than a physical, like blockage. Okay. I'm talking about why do you have high blood pressure? It's usually low magnesium and kidney issues. So detox the kidneys. That's that lower back pain. Everybody with that low back pain, that's your urinary bladder, kidneys. And the Lyme loves the bladder. Okay. And I've seen, one of my oldest patients just passed away. She was 102 and a half, had bladder cancer. And she had Lyme. I got her when she was 82 and she died at 102. So she was dying at 82, but it's very sweet. She lived at home to the very end with her daughter. But anyway, you will get worse, and why wait for things to happen when you can take action now?
Yes.
And that feed your body, nourish it, get healthy. It's not a huge thing. If you had high blood sugar, you take insulin, right? And people, as they get older, how many people are on insulin, for crying out loud? That's a big part of Lyme also. But how many people, you get insulin, you've got to do it every day. You can't just say, I don't feel like doing this today.
No.
You'll get insulin shock. This is the same thing. Just take care of it and go about your life and do your purpose, what you're put here for. But if you're feeling lousy and headachy and you can't stand the lights and you can't stand the noise, and, that's all adrenal fatigue, but you can't, deal with this stuff, what good are you? Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Who wants to live like that? I live like that. I lived in a darkened room for a year because the lights hurt my eyes so bad.
Gosh.
And no noise or anything. It was horrible. You become isolated. And when you become isolated, you become depressed.
Yes.
We're meant to be social human beings and be out with each other and, be in support of each other and so forth. That's what we're about. But when we get isolated, it's not good. You lose hope.
It's quite an insidious disease. It seems to attack you at all fronts, both physically and emotionally.
Yes.
And so
that's why we got to help each other. That's what this is all about.
So we need to have the support from people like yourself and others to.
Absolutely. I'm friends with my patients. I'm not just like, hi, see you 15 minutes, see you later. Nope, that doesn't work. I don't see tons of people in a day. I take it very personally, all my cases, especially my very serious cases, the cancers and the ALS and all that, And I said, I'm just another piece of the pie here to help. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm here for.
Yes. Do you have a website, Sue, that people can go to learn more?
Yes, it's kind of under construction, but it's getting there. It's Dr. DRSUE Massie, MASSIE, drsuemassie.com.
Great.
Yes, and I'm in Red Bank, New Jersey. Jersey girl. Jersey Shore, actually. Yes.
So thank you so much for talking to us about Lyme. I never realized just how tough Lyme was. Yeah.
There's a lot more. But again, we're only limited on time to just sort of touch on this, let people know what it is. And my purpose is to say to people, if you're not feeling well and something is wrong, let's look into it and dig deeper. Don't just accept what a doctor or somebody tells you and says, oh, it's all in your head, or it's because you're old, or it's because you live here or there or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Let's dig deeper. I love to investigate. That's the thing that I love to do, is figure it out. And I don't know all the answers. I'll tell you, I don't know all the answers, but I sure will research it.
Yes. Now, in research, I find that a lot of people do a Google and they take that as gospel. This is the way it is. But what I know personally from things which I do know a lot about is that it's absolute rubbish. It's just like.
That's right. Use your discernment, your gut, whatever your gut's. And if you don't trust your own gut, I don't know what to tell you. Find somebody that you find that's pretty solid, and pretty level-headed and street smart, And that's why I feel if something doesn't seem right, if you get that little hair on the back of your neck, stop. Don't even go down that road. And don't look for the magic pill. I'm telling you, because it's not there. Okay.
Okay.
You're on this journey for a reason to learn.
Yes.
Okay. So don't look at this like, oh no, this is horrible. Embrace it and say, okay, bring me the positive. What's the light? What's the positive? What's the sunshine here? How can I do this? And if I can't do this, then I need help.
Mm.
And that's all it is. And getting the wisdom and the knowledge, because you get wisdom and knowledge and that drives out fear. And the number one thing today is anxiety, anxiety, anxiety.
Yes.
Everybody's full of fear.
Yes.
I don't have anxiety and fear. I honestly can say that. I do not.
Gosh, that's good. That's wonderful.
I sleep soundly every night, 8 hours. No pills, no drugs. I'm on 0 medications. I haven't taken anything since 2000, and I feel fantastic. So.
Oh, good on you, Sue. Hey, Sue, I wonder if I could slip in just one question. Carmela has just asked quite an interesting question.
Okay.
It's about ringworm. Does ringworm have any association with Lyme and cancer?
Okay. I'm not going to say everything is Lyme, but if you have gut upset, dysbiosis, it's going to come out in the skin. Okay. So ringworm, yes, could definitely be a part of that. There's no doubt about it. So what I say is always for everybody, always go to the gut first. If your belly's not good, your digestion is not good, then then that's what you need to clean up first. Okay. And that's antimicrobial, antiviral, whatever. You got to kind of figure out what's going on there.
Right.
And you get tested for H. pylori. You can get tested for Lyme. You can get tested for various things, ulcers and, whatever. But let's see what's going on. Then make your choices as to what you want to do. What's good for you? What do you feel? Do you see?
Yes, I understand.
What I would do.
It's your body, and you sort of got the immediate feedback because you can feel what's happening.
Exactly. Anything on the skin is just an outward expression of what's going on inside. That's eczema, ringworm, all those types of things. There's something going on inside.
Yes.
And now it's expressing itself on the skin.
Gosh. And tinea is a fungus, isn't it? So it's tinea. It's fungus. So it's just an association between tinea and ringworm. This is just an extension of the question from Carmela. Does ringworm and tinea go? Does tinea? Do they work together or?
I don't know what tinea is.
Oh, it's like an athlete's foot and.
I'm sorry. It's like a what?
Athlete's foot.
Athlete's foot. Okay.
Yeah. Like that type of thing. So
that's all fungus. That's all like candida, yeast, fungus. Okay. In which Doug Kaufman and a million other people think that's a direct link to cancer. Okay. So you got to clean up the fungus, the candida, the athlete's foot. Yes.
Okay, good.
Absolutely. Itchy scalp.
Yes.
It's all part of yeast, candida.
Yeah. Another unwanted guest in your body.
Oh, yes. There's lots of them. I hate to tell you guys.
Oh, gosh.
You're all running a bed and breakfast. No, I'm only kidding. Mr. and Mrs. Fungus.
Thank you very much for being on our show. So it's been
thank you. This is exciting. I love the fact that you're in China. I think this is just so exciting.
Yeah, we don't have Lyme in China.
No, of course not.
Yeah,
of course not.
But we get quite heavy stows, and would that kill the ticks? Because I've not seen any ticks here either. I didn't see any in New Zealand either when I was there. No, okay.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. I will pull out some of my files. I've talked to people in China before.
Okay.
Yep. Saudi Arabia was just recent. Yep.
Gosh.
Yep. Everywhere. Australia. Quite a few in Australia.
I really wish that the mainstream medicine acknowledges that there's an epidemic taking place right now, and some do. Some of the mainstream allopathic medicine doctors do.
Sure. But it's not around here.
No, if the government's doing, they put money into the research. So rather than just doing support and making it more pleasant for people to live with it.
Right. But John, the problem is you, me, my family, we are suffering with this now. So I don't care about research and experimental drugs, or you know what I'm saying? I need to take care of us today to function, so I can get up and go to work and enjoy my children. I got a son getting married in a month. You know, had another son that just got married in October. I got 4 grandchildren. You know what I mean? I want to be well today. I don't have time to, you know, go do this or research there or try this or, you know, I've done all that stuff. I'm done with that.
Yeah. Good on you. So you're doing very well. And
Thank you. I try.
You try, or whatever you try, you do it. It's working. So thank you. Thank you once again for coming on the show, and thank you so much,
John. Absolute pleasure. Wonderful meeting you.
Yeah, it's been great having you on. And
say hi to Sam. Tell Sam thank you, and Dr. William Wong. Thank you, Dr. Wong.
And thank you, team, everywhere, all the internet viewers, and
thank you, everybody.
Our Facebook friends. Okay, goodbye.
Thank you. All right, God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, that's been a good one, Sue. I did enjoy that immensely.
Good.
I knew that Lyme was a problem, but I never realized it was so bad.
Yeah, it is. It's really bad. It's really bad. And I see the walking wounded every day, everywhere around me. I can tell a Lyme person just by walking by them. The children with the red hot ears.
Yes.
You know, and they got the big dark circles under their eyes and they're pale.
Yes.
Those are little Lyme children. I know it very well. And the mother's feeding them sugared cereal for breakfast, or they don't even want breakfast. They send them with a white bread, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Or no, you're not allowed to send peanut butter because everybody's allergic to it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's probably due to Lyme as well, isn't it? You know.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Yep. Kids are ADHD, bouncing off the walls. They can't sit in school, so they put them on kiddie cocaine. You know, it's just ridiculous what's going on. And these are babies and children, and babies are born with colic. And all these fussy babies, they can't eat formula, and they're sick, and they can't breastfeed, and it's just a mess here, absolute mess. And I know it's all over the world.
Yeah,
you know,
it's very sad.
It is very sad, you know, and I don't know what to tell you. I spent my years back in the 90s being very freaked out by all this and very angry and very whatever. Is this still on, John, or this is off?
Oh, we'll cut the end.
Okay, mine says live on Facebook. That's all. I don't want to be saying stuff.
Okay. Well, yes, I can. That's a good point. So if I go more stop live stream, I didn't realize that. Okay.
There you go. Yeah, I just didn't want to, God forbid, you know, because I got to be real careful what I say. You know what I'm saying? I can't say, pick up the book Lab 257, you read all about this. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to get politically involved. I don't want to.
No.
Not worth it. I need to help the people that need the help.
Yes.
You know? And they shut down people that help Lyme disease. So you got to be real careful of what you're doing.
Gosh,
you know?
I never knew that.
Yep. So that's why I say I'm here just for general health, you know, to help people, teach people. You know, when you walk around with a certain symptom or whatever, I go, listen, why don't you check this out? And they're like, I never knew that. You know, I had a guy last week, urgent, son, 17 years old, all suddenly was blind. So he brought him to me and I said, you got Lyme. No doubt about it. Gave him a bunch of stuff to build his eyesight, gave him some silver to put in his eyes, kill the spirochetes, you know, put it up his nose, take it by mouth.
Yes.
Got all better.
Gee.
You know? Crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But it's awesome to be able to help people. That's the best part. I just love what I do. I've been doing this 22 years. I just love it more every day. You know, because I get really bad cases. Like I got, you know, people with ALS and all kinds of stuff can't function. And I get them where they got hope again. And now they're getting better and something's changing. And that's awesome. You know, but you take away people's hope and it's like, you know, you don't want to live.
No, you don't want to die. You don't want to die early. You as you've said, you know, you've got to do what you're on the earth for. Now, everyone's got some sort of function. I mean, you're one of his children.
That's why I'm here. I'm one of his children, and God spared my life to teach me that I've got to go out and help others. I'm here to serve. That's what these are. These are my hands. I'm just here to serve. It's not about me at all. You know, and that's why I love what I do, because I just say, when people go, oh, thank you. I have a guy with a rare kidney cancer. I'm seeing him tomorrow, actually, he and his wife, Vietnam vet, wonderful man, 71 years old, rare kidney cancer. Nobody's ever been cured of it. He's completely cured. And they go, oh, thank you, Dr. Sue. I go, don't thank me. Thank God. It's not me. Thank the Lord. You know, I give him all the credit, not me. You know, that's where it comes from.
Good idea. So you're beautiful.
Oh,
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I'll let you get on with your evening. Thank you for your time.
This went really fast. Yes.
Well,
Thank
it does.
so
When you talk about really super cool, subjects which are, which you're passionate about, time flies.
Yeah. I just can't believe it already. 9:15. Yeah, it's 9:15 already.
Yeah.
Wow, it was just 7 o'clock a minute ago. Wow. All right. I guess I got to wind down now and go to bed.
Yeah. Thanks. We did a great job, Sue.
Thank you so much, John. I really appreciate it. Tell Sam thank you so much also.
I will.